Hello everyone, Dick here. Today I'm riding the 2023 Honda Transalp. The Honda Transalp is a 755cc liquid-cooled 8-valve parallel twin. It puts out 91 brake horsepower with a max torque of 55 foot-pounds or 72 newton meters. Top speed is 135 miles an hour. That is set within a tubular steel diamond frame. Fuel capacity is 16.9 liters. It has a seat height of 850 millimeters, which is just shy of 33.5 inches. Front suspension is 41mm upside-down Showa forks. Those are non-adjustable. Rear suspension is a single shock with preload adjustment. Front brake is two 310mm discs with twin-piston calipers and ABS, provided by Nissan. The rear brake is also a Nissan 256mm disc with a single piston caliper and ABS. The front tire is 21 inches, the rear tire is 18 inches. It weighs 208 kilograms. Suggested retail price is £9,500 here in the UK. As a past owner of 3 Transalps and a current owner of a 2001 Transalp 650, I have been cautiously excited to ride this bike, but I have been disappointed in the past, so I will not be blinded by the marketing monkeys hooting and hollering and throwing shit at us from their enclosure. I'm a huge fan of the CB500X, which in my eyes is and has been the natural successor to the Transalp since its debut in 2016. If Honda can build off of that gem and not be distracted by its more successful competitors in this class of motorcycle, we may just have something here worth talking about. As always, I have avoided any press and chatter about the bike I'm about to test ride, so strap in for an unfiltered take on Honda's latest crack at sport touring adventure. Before we get out on the road, let me share a few thoughts I had while waiting for my scheduled demo appointment. I was able to steal a moment alone with the bike and get a good look. And just like you, loyal viewers, I am not whisked away to Spain for launch events or granted long-term loans of new bottles to ride in exchange for limp dick gushing sales pitches. I am perpetually on the hunt for my next bike. And as a pleb consumer, I am granted a mere hour demo ride to determine whether or not I want to plunk my hard-earned cash on the barrelhead for the bike in question. Not a lot of time to be sure, but the UK is better than other countries in actually offering demos at all. Luckily for me, and for you, my faithful compatriots, I'm a quick judge of character, and an hour is all we need to get to know this new bike. What first hit me was the striking similarity to the CB500X. I'm happy to see Honda carrying over its current design language to the Transalp. I'm sure that some may think it is a bit bland to look at, but aren't we all in some respect? This is not to say there aren't design cues from previous Transalps. Most apparent is the massive, mostly useless rear rack, as well as how the front fairing flows into the line of the petrol tank's profile. I was happy to see a 21-inch front wheel and happy to see spokes, a good start at playing the ADV game. Inverted forks, a nice touch, but it limits the ability to raise the fender as the shields are integrated. And then Honda goes and scores an own goal when we see how low-slung the exhaust is at the rear. But it's road-oriented, some will say. Every Transalp ever was road-oriented, but everyone that came before had a high exhaust. I'm not impressed. If we backtrack along the exhaust, we can find the massive cat, which Honda has managed to minimize much better than the other Japanese attempts, but it is very exposed for an ADV bike. We can also see that there are no frame rails to protect the undercarriage of the bike. The original Transalps had crappy, heavy frames, but what can be said for them is that they protected the underbelly effectively. Speaking of underbelly, what in the flying is this dingleberry? It seems to be a sacrificial sump to protect the catalytic converter. Whatever it is, it's vulnerable and ugly, as is this shifter rod. I was surprised at the height and reach of the risers, which we will address later in the ride. I was also concerned with the lack of center stand, or any possible place to mount one. I looked for a possible mounting position and only found 2 eyelets under the rear shock mount. Upon closer inspection, it looks as if these are for lowering the linkage for shorter riders. The Honda rep couldn't tell me one way or the other. I was already getting mixed signals, but the ride is what's paramount, so let's get to it. If you like that video, and you want to see more like them, hit like, share, and subscribe.